Games, brains are banging life with another episode of the Flashback series, and we are flashing back to a more modern game, Resident Evil 5, the third-person shooter video game, developed and published by Capcom, of course. Even though it's called Resident Evil 5, it is actually the 7th major installment in the Resident Evil series, and was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in March 2009, and Windows in September of that year. The plot involves an investigation of a terrorist threat by the Bioterrorism Security Assignment Alliance, BSAA, agents Chris Redfield and Sheva Almar in Kuuji, a fictional region of Africa. Chris learns that he must confront his past in the form of an old enemy, Albert Wesker, and his former partner, Jill Valentine. The gameplay of Resident Evil 5 is similar to that of the previous installment, number 4, though it is the first in the series designed specifically for two-player co-op. It has also been considered to be the first game in the main series that fully departs from survival horror, with critics saying it bore a resemblance to an action game. It is the best-selling game of the Resident Evil franchise, and the original version remained the best-selling individual Capcom release until March 2018, where it was outsold by Monster Hunter World. And of course, we got Resident Evil 6 in 2012. Things we like, things we don't like, favourites, moments, scenes, bits of music. Resident Evil 5.
I've got to say that this is one of my favourite,
Really?
Yeah.
That is fucking insane.
Really?
Don't get me wrong. I like it more than I like Resident Evil 6.
Oh, 6 is terrible.
Oh, what? Terrible Resident Evil game, still a good game. Do you see what I mean? That's how I sort of see it.
Yeah.
But Resident Evil 5 was the start of the downhill trend for me, big time. Although I don't agree with a lot of people saying that this was the first time. I believe Resident Evil 4 really was the first time when survival horror was going out the window. Don't get me wrong, it's more horror than 5 was.
Yeah.
But people look at 4 and seem to forget that there was a ton of action in that. A ton of action in that. But ultimately, 5 was a real obvious, well, we're moving on from that thing.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be until 7, obviously Resident Evil 7, the excellent Resident Evil 7, I stopped caring about Resident Evil after 5. But 7, and I avoided playing 7 for a long time because I didn't like the idea of first person. And then when I did play 7 is one of, if not the best Resident Evil since the original games came out. If you've never played 7,
It's the only one I haven't played.
It's a fucking amazing horror game. An amazing horror game. Horror. Properly horror. And with one of the most clever, coolest links back to the original you would ever see.
Is it on a PlayStation 1?
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. You would need a modern console to play it.
Not PlayStation 2.
There's not, no. Things we like then. Get us started.
Chris,
Yep.
I mean, always, other than Leon, he's always one of my favourite,
Okay.
So, I mean, and he's an enjoyable character, I mean, and I love his story with Wesker. He's always been after Wesker. He's always wanted his revenge from the first one. So it's interesting,
Okay. I mean, I agree with you to a go. I've got returning characters. So if you're a Resident Evil fan, as we are, when you hit a game and you introduce, all right, here's Chris Redfield, and here's this newbie, here's Sheva. And, you're constantly looking at where are we going to link up to others. This is obviously a massive one because this brings back Wesker and Jill. Jill hadn't been seen since Resident Evil 3, and Wesker hadn't been seen since Resident Evil Code Veronica. So it was cool to bring them all together in this way. And that's great. It felt like a proper Resident Evil story game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll continue then with character as well, another one. And I'm going to praise Sheva as a character. Sheva as a character is a good addition. Her voice acting is good. She's a good addition. It's a shame they've never really taken her along the ride for the series as a whole, because she was good for the Chris's white knight, better than perfect white bread meathead kind of thing. Sheva was great. Don't get me wrong. I will get to her in a dislike, but I don't blame the character. She's well voiced acting.
Oh yeah.
She's a good character. Absolutely. She grounds it in the location as well. You know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mine's obviously Wesker. I think Wesker is very cool in this game. I mean, even the end boss. It's just typical Resident Evil. Obviously, the way he apparently dies, if he is dead or whatever, I don't even know, having played number 7. But yeah, I think Wesker overall is a brilliant character, and just the final interaction between him and Chris, and he like falls into lava and then grabs the hold of the chopper and shit there. It's good.
It's good. I mean, each to our own, right? Each to our own. I'll get to that part of the game. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, spoilers and spoilers for you. It's not Wesker that appears in 7.
No.
It's Chris at the end of the game. And there's no links to Resident Evil beyond the suggestion of this virus. And then there's a link potentially to Resident Evil, the one that's set in the boat that stars Jill. Fuck, what's it called? Oh, what's that Resident Evil game called that Jill's on the boat? Really good game as well. And it's linked to that. But at the end, after the huge final boss and stuff like that, it's Chris that comes to rescue you. There's your link.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's spoilers for the end of the game. Sorry. The story. I mean, the story of Resident Evil 5, as stupid as it gets, and fuck me does it get stupid, it is massive. It is a humongous story that feels so Resident Evil and also very ending for certain elements of it too.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, the story I think is pretty good. Yeah. Particularly as it builds on that protogena virus that Resident Evil 4 introduced.
Definitely, yeah. The obvious one you mentioned in the intro, the co-op mode. You know, I mean, the fact that you can actually play for the campaign and control both two controllers and control both characters.
Yep.
You know, it's really cool. You know, I mean, apart from the annoying when you try to open the door and you got to wait for the other person to come over to open the door. Yeah, no, it's a cool little add-on, and plus obviously you got the multiplayer too online.
Yep.
Which is also good.
Not the multiplayer, man. That is shit.
I actually enjoyed it. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Oh, well, okay. I will get the co-op, but it's in a different part for me. And my last is I really like the location. I think the kind of African location is pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
It was different. And I love that opening sort of level, walking through the village. And later stuff like the caves, the boat, not the volcano, not the fucking volcano, never the fucking volcano, ever. No, I will not hear this shit. But yeah, there's a lot of cool locations, and I think it's quite good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, colour-wise and graphic-wise, it's clever now, so...
Swamps as well. Mention that. It's weird that people got pissed about alligators and that, but we're fine with an alligator in Resident Evil 2. It's weird that, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's all my likes.
Yeah, mine too.
Alright, things I don't like. And let's do it then. Let's bring her up. It is Sheva. Now, as a character, like I said, I praise her. However, the problem with Sheva is purely based upon the game. And it's when the AI is in control of her. If you want to experience the worst AI controlling a co-op partner, play Resident Evil 5. You will hate her.
Yeah.
And it's not her fault. I say like she's a real fucking person.
I know.
As you lining up your shots to shoot fucking baddies, and Sheva will stand in your way. You will waste ammo putting it in the back of Sheva, and you'll just be like, fucking move, Sheva!
Yep.
Just move! She's not very useful when it comes to fighting.
Nope.
How many times are you going to hear, Chris, help me? It's not Sherry levels, but the AI is so brain dead. I mean, fucking brain dead, that it makes it no fun to play. And God forbid it, you try and play Resident Evil 5 on the hardest difficulty with that AI. You can do it because you eventually learn how to treat the AI.
Yes.
And you learn, look, I'll position this way and so on. You shouldn't have to do that.
No.
God.
I mean, literally, she's my first one too, and you pretty much said it all. The only thing that I like about her is she can hold items too. So literally, if you no more finding a mysterious box with never ending, and you can find your stuff anywhere in the house, anywhere you ever want.
So Damon suggested Sheva's only use is that she doubles up as a bag.
Well, pretty much.
So Chris could just put a bag in his back and it's the same fucking thing.
Exactly.
All right. Well, it's a obvious one, and I've written it. Horror. This ain't a horror game. And if you want a moment, do you remember the moment when you realised this wasn't a horror game?
When I turned it on.
Really? Because the opening sequence when you walk through the villain, they're standing there all ominously.
I suppose, I mean, because I've obviously probably I would have seen trailers before and probably seen videos before, so I was already prepared for it. You know.
Yeah, but the moment I'm talking about, the moment when you're playing and you were like, yeah, this isn't a horror game. So I'll tell you mine and see if that triggers something for you. You've done the part in the village where you've defended yourself and you got the guy with the giant hammer and all that, and you end up leaving in cars, Humvees.
Okay, yeah.
And it's this part where you drive across the plains, and it's a scripted part where you're on the back shooting these supposed zombie-like creatures who are on motorbikes. And there's loads of them, and you've just got to shoot these dudes on motorbikes and then some driving cars. And that is an action sequence.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment I went, this is this game then. Yeah.
It's not my dislikes, but I actually remember this thing because I remember trying to get the achievements for completing a hard mode.
Yeah.
And that part was so difficult.
Very difficult because they throw Molotovs and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a bit where I might be wrong, but you fight some massive troll.
Oh, that's further along.
I think.
Yeah.
That further along? Yeah, but yeah.
Resident Evil 4 has that, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the moment I knew it wasn't a horror game. Yeah.
The camera was absolutely ridiculous game.
I don't know about that. It was a staple, wasn't it? It's behind you. I think it made it harder because it was always trying to keep two people in view.
Yeah, in view,
My last one, and I've sworn about it a few times throughout, but oh my fucking god, does this game get done? And honestly, the moment where you just like, you know what, you do it because you're at the end of the game. The finale of this game takes place inside a volcano. Not just any volcano, an active volcano, where your characters run around next to lava and don't burst into flame or have their eyes melt out of their head. It's just a hot springs compared to a fucking volcano. And of course, that includes the famous let's punch a boulder. Now that's a different one, but like, it's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. Yes.
Well, yes, but it's just a game. So, suppose this one is just one that I didn't like. But I called them the zombies, but they're not zombies.
No.
Because they got a virus, where it is.
The protogen thing,
Yeah. But when you're fighting one of them, and then you blow his head off, and it turns into some big snake thing with a snake head, then you destroy the snake head, and then it's still ain't dead. It's on the floor, and you got stamping his head on the floor. Yeah, that was a bit over the top thing. Yeah.
It just makes it more difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Any more?
No, that's it.
Right, favourite moments, scenes, bits of music. You kind of touched upon it already. You did, and I said I'd come back to it, which is the best way to play this game, the best way, the most fun you have, is with a co-op partner. A co-op partner, it's who's controlling Sheva for you. You can actually have a lot of fun in this game, I think, and you'll certainly have a better time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first time I played this co-op was some American geese over Extra Life, and that was a hell of a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah, it is. It is. It really is.
I mean, favourite moments, other than that, it's just a pretty much basic game, really. Yeah.
I kind of swore about it, but I will say, if there's one thing we all remember about Resident Evil 5, and we all shake our heads and laugh at for the comedy of it all, is the sight of having Chris punching a boulder. I mean, seriously, he's punching a fucking boulder. He's so manly, so tough, so Chris Redfield, that he is punching a fucking boulder to defeat Wesker.
He's the hero.
I also want to address something here, right? Which is the whole, did Wesker die crap because the missile doesn't hit him? The missile might not have hit him, but he was in lava, drowning in lava. His body would have been destroyed already. The missile went, boom. It still blew up directly behind him. Yeah. Wesker is dead, people. Get over it. And even if they had ever considered bringing Wesker back, they won't now, not in the direction of the game's gone, because Wesker is a thing of the past, and he should stay that way.
Yeah, I mean, I've not played 7, so obviously I don't know who the bad guy is in that, but I think they've run their course with Wesker.
That whole story is what it's called.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can go play Resident Evil 2 Remake now. You can play the Resident Evil 3 Remake and play great variations on the games you know and love. But where we're going now with 7 and the new one, which is obviously had a trailer called Village, or Resident Evil 8 as it's known, Resident Evil 8 Village, there's the direction we're going in. It's still Resident Evil. You only have to watch to know that. Chris appears in Resident Evil 8, and he's not looking well, put it that way. But, so I mean, so like there's still Resident Evil, but we don't have to, that villain, that over-the-top, I'm going to take over the world, I'm like Liquid Snake, that kind of thing. No, let's leave it.
Well, I mean, you got to say that. I mean, surely, how old was Chris probably in the first one?
But the timeline isn't what it was, if that makes sense. So, like the Chris you'd see at the end of Resident Evil 7 is not an old man Chris.
Okay, so it might have gone back in time, sort of.
No, I think you've got to sort of see it as like perhaps these games are not the timeline isn't what you think it is. It's not follow coherent 1, 2, 3 Veronica stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not the one writing it. It's, that kind of thing. But there you go. Resident Evil 5. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on GBHBL.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL as well as Big Cartel where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?